Well, welcome everyone to our May Board of Trustees meeting. I'll call the meeting to order and we'll take roll call for our board members. First of all, Teresa let us know that she's not feeling well, so she won't be with us today. Bob?
Here.
Shauna?
Here.
Kim?
Here.
And our library director, Jandy?
Here.
Hello. And I'm here. And Mark's here, he's always here, which I appreciate. So representing the city, which is really great. Okay, so, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda, unless there are any additions or corrections to the agenda.
I don't have the library waiver stuff for us today, so we need to strike that from the agenda. I will have it next
Okay.
month.
So that is the third thing on our business. Right?
Yes,
Okay, so we'll strike that. That'll make the meeting even shorter.
I have a lot of statistics for you that will fill the time.
Okay, I love statistics.
Love data.
Too many meetings in my life looking at statistics and data.
Mr. Chairman, I move we,
No, I didn't ask for that yet, but no, I'm just kidding. Fire away.
I move we approve the, amended agenda.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Okay. Did everyone have a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting? Okay, can I, were there any changes, corrections to the meeting minutes? Okay, could I have a motion to approve the minutes for April?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, approved?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, they are approved. All right, so we are on to an empty room. Asking for citizen comments. Do we have anybody online, Jandy?
No, I don't have anyone online right now.
Okay, so we don't have to go through the spiel. We'll let them know where we're at, no matter how it operates. We will if there's someone that
At
comes
the
on
end,
though.
yeah.
We'll let them know.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we are on to our reports for today. And first up is Mark, our city administrator, which I appreciate Mark being here every meeting to clarify things for us and to fill us in on city things that affect the Board of Trustees and the library. Mark, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sure that Jandy's gonna brief you on the progress on the search for a project manager, so I'm not gonna touch on that, but I will update the board on last night's doings at the city council meeting, and if you were watching or in attendance, you know that the council voted to, it was the second read of the proposed ordinance with the change language regarding the funding mechanism, and so council voted to approve that, and so I wanna say it's a 5-day period between vote and effective date for that ordinance. And so it will become effective in a week or so, and so going forward, starting with this upcoming budget year, the library's budget proposal will be evaluated outside of that funding cap or floor, whichever it was designed to be, but outside of that percentage, just along with every other budget request. And I really think that in combination with our transition to a priority-based budgeting system, the two of those things together are really going to give the library and every other program in the city the opportunity to tell its story uniquely when it comes to budget preparation, and how it should be prioritized by the council as it makes the budget. And so I think that this is gonna be a great change going forward. And obviously the city will continue, and the city staff will continue to support the budget making process to include the Board of Trustees involvement in that as we transition to that priority-based system. Are there any questions about that?
So the library was the only department that had outlined a specific number for percentage for budgeting, right? Correct? Is that?
In terms of its operating budget, yes. I mean, there are some other things that are earmarked, by, for example, revenues that are earmarked for a specific purpose that have to be used for that purpose. But in terms of the general fund and the city's operation, yes, it was the only.
So now we're in line with all the other
Correct.
departments regarding that. And are there other places where we might be, or other departments might be misaligned with the rest of the departments in the way things are run? Because I didn't realize that other departments weren't budgeted in that ordinance like that. So
I don't believe so. I mean,
it's funny that that was the only place where specific percentages were. And maybe that was done at the beginning to help ensure the viability of the library.
yeah, I think I remember, my notes, that clause was put in back in 2012, I believe it was. And I think it was in response to the recession, coming out of the recession, to make sure that there was some dedicated funding, which is understandable. I mean, you understand why at that time they would have put that in, but we had several conversations here about, just from a best practice standpoint,
Right.
that really isn't the best practice. And so, but to your point, yes, now the library is on par with every other operating department in the city when it comes to the budget.
But it's also subject to the whims of any given city council.
Technically, yes, but so is everything else, right? And
But it
so,
wasn't before.
yes and no, because there was always the, I guess it was section 2 that gave council the discretion to raise or lower, right? So the provision was in there identifying the percentage, but then there was a clause that also said, well, if council votes, they can raise it or lower it, right? So it technically was always subject to that.
Correct.
And I think in this case, you know, not to retread the entire episode, but staff's recommendation was to leave it the way it was. Because it wasn't broken, and that wasn't accepted, and so we pivoted to Plan B. And instead of trying to tinker with the number, I think as Jandy and I and the finance team talked about it, the best option was we'll just budget like everybody else and make the case for the budget. And I think, like I said before, marrying that with the transition to priority-based budgeting, what it allows to be done is to make cases for new programs or expanded programs or things like that. And then the storytelling associated with those established or new priorities becomes paramount. And Jandy's a great storyteller. And so when we get to that place, I think we're gonna be in a pretty good position.
Anyone have other questions for Mark about in regards to that? Okay, Mark, anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay, Bob, did you have a question?
No, I didn't realize.
Just checking your mic.
I realized it wasn't on.
All right. Okay, thanks, Mark. All right, so now we are on to, Friends of the Library report. Mr. Bob, you are on.
Thank you. I hadn't attended the, Friends meetings, for the first 3 months because I was, not around. So the first one I attended, and thank you, Ken, for really reporting back. That the first one I attended was, April 25th, just, the end of last month. Basically, during that meeting, I went over, what we had covered in our April trustee meeting, but also, we, are working on the usual suspects for June and July. In June, we have a book sale coming up, which is June 14th and 15th. It's Friday and a Saturday. If you have books that you haven't donated or want to get rid of, we'll be happy to take them. You can drop them off at the library, or you can call me and I can pick them up, or you can email them and somebody will pick them up. So we're getting ready for that. We also are heavily into the planning for the summer soiree, which is July 17th, it's a Wednesday. I think it's a different week than we've had it normally in the past, but it's a Wednesday. Things are moving ahead on that. The primary difference with the soiree this year, we're gonna have the same live entertainment, we're gonna have the same, we'll have games, food. You can purchase wine and cider and beer from the Liberty Lake, winery. But the primary difference is we're moving a little bit to, I don't wanna say heavy hors d'oeuvres, but we're adding pork, barbecue pork sliders, because a lot of the finger food and hors d'oeuvres at 5 o'clock on a Wednesday doesn't necessarily stave off everybody's hunger. So we're gonna try something a little different this year with that. We're also moving away from the online auction, and we're moving to a silent auction during the event, but it'll only be, for argument's sake, 4 or 5 larger items that people can bid on, which kind of harkens us back to 3 or 4 years ago where we did that. We'll still have the drawings, we'll still sell tickets for the drawings, but this allows us, we took a look at, on the online auction, besides all of the work that went into running it, and, getting everything for it, we really thought we'd kind of exhausted that, because you end up with, 25, 27, different items, and some of them you get very little action on, some of them you get a little bit more. And so we're gonna try something different with that. We hope the weather's gonna be good, but that's coming up. And then the Friends they're starting to look at one of the things that we've always done is try and promote Friends. We're going to be at the farmers market again this year, promoting in the city tent, but in alignment with the way the city doesn't want to have a ton of people in the tent, because it gets really crowded, because the city folks are there, some of the council members are there, but at least one member of the Friends from the beginning or the first weekend, or going up through right before we get to the soiree, where there'll be somebody there promoting the book sale and the soiree, and they'll hand out, we'll have a poster with the barcode or the QR code to order tickets for the soiree. And so we're trying to do more promotion. We're also trying to generate more interest in the Friends, trying to explain to people what we do. And they're working on that. There's a subcommittee that has been spun up to figure out what's the best way to just tell people what the Friends do and get more members, because like any organization that's volunteer-based, people start to burn out, and they start to age out. And we need to get a wide, group of people. It tends to be the same people in Kiwanis, Rotary, Friends, all of the different things. So we're trying to appeal a little bit more to that. The only other thing on the soiree is the ticket prices this year will be $35 a ticket. So, and that's pretty much, Michaela went over, the events that were going on. She filled in for Jandy on the library, talked about the new calendar system, the direct booking, and I had reported that there was going to be a new website, from the city. It actually went live that morning. So we all went home and looked at it. And,
When are tickets gonna go on sale for the
thank you. The weekend of Memorial Day, I will turn them on, since I have to create the link and the ticketing system within Square. I'll turn them on Saturday, before Memorial Day. So, and we'll publish, we already have, one of the Friends members that does videos, of course, is already putting together a video, and then we'll do the usual Facebook, Instagram. and, everything, and my better half is already, redone all the posters and the stuff that we'll use for the, farmer's market. So, and I'll remind you again for next week. That's it.
I had one thing to add about the Friends. So Monday after the Friends meeting, I got a message from the Hub Sports Center, that they were doing a program called Play Unplugged. And it's to encourage kids during the summer to be unplugged from their screens and their phones and their TVs and get out and do things outside. And they had invited us to participate. So basically, the kids can go around to different businesses in Liberty Lake in the Valley and do different challenges that are like, outdoors or other kind of challenges. And they will earn brag tags, think like military dog tags. So they can earn different tags from different businesses throughout town. And so, to be a sponsor, it was $300. So I reached out to the Friends on Monday and reached out to Robin and Lola and everyone, and they had to do like a little bit of an amendment to their budget, but they were able to go down and talk with Lacey at the Hub and become a sponsor for the event. So it's promoting the Friends, it's promoting the library. They did it, I want to say in 2018 or 2019, it was prior to COVID. We didn't hear anything about it when they did it, and so we had kids coming into the library because Spokane County Library District had participated. So they're coming into our library asking like, oh, can we get a brag tag? Like, what's the challenge? You want to do a brag tag? And we're like, we have no idea what you're talking about. So I was so glad when they reached out to us because now we can participate, and when the kids come in, we'll have the brag tags. So our theme, each of the businesses have a theme. So our theme is adventurer because the summer reading theme this year is adventure begins at your library. And so they can either read an adventure book or they can take their book on an adventure with them and like take a picture outside of them, like on a hike or something, going on their adventure with their books.
Very good.
So that's what our theme is. And so I was really grateful to the Friends because it was one of those things where they're like, hey, do you want to participate? The deadline is 3 days from now. And you're just like, oh, great. So they rallied together and got everything ready to go. So they're awesome.
Yeah, they did. They
Yeah.
worked,
Yeah.
feverish for a day and a half to get that done. So it's a great opportunity, but that's one of the really great things that the Friends does and provides those kind of opportunities for the patrons that use our library, which is very cool. And the soiree is the biggest fundraiser for that, for them to be able to do those kinds of things. So that's very cool. All right, anybody have any other questions or comments, about Bob's report? Okay, great. So then we are on to city council report, Shauna.
Yeah, I attended last night virtually and, I did have a question, Mark. So I noticed you couldn't attend on video anymore. Was that intentional? Was that something that, like, we could watch the video, but you used to be able to turn the camera on in the Zoom meetings and you can't anymore?
So that's probably a change that occurred as we moved from hosting this as just a live feed to a webinar as a result of some of the previous Zoom bombing episodes. And so I'm guessing, I haven't attended virtually since that change, and so I'm guessing it has to do with that.
Yeah, I noticed when they went to, someone they were appointing was attending via Zoom and they couldn't turn their camera.
Yes, Ben Turner was online and was unable to turn
Yeah,
on his
that's
camera, and so.
officially a
yes.
presenter, yeah, okay, that was just.
Well, and we can follow up to find out if there are any, ways to, if there are any settings in there that will help us do that. I don't know that
I
they're
think
all
you have to
on
make
this,
specific people presenters, and
but maybe,
are you gonna do that for anyone who wants to make a public comment?
right.
I think it's probably overcomplicated, but, I figured when I heard that there was new tech people that it was probably related to that. The only thing I was going to report on was it was the second ordinance read and then of the 119E now, and then that was voted in, and as Mark said, that'll come into effect. Not much else in this meeting or the meeting before. The meeting before was also, I believe, was the first read of the ordinance. Was affecting, the library itself.
Okay, good. So, but I have a question for Mark about the, this, and how it might affect employees associated with the library, and that is that this, agreement, or I'm not quite sure I understood the whole agreement, but about, carpooling and that kind of stuff to reduce the carbon footprint. How does that affect the employees, like, library employees?
So it's a program that is, that the city participates in as an employer. And we get to select kind of the menu of options that we, give to folks that are working here. And so we're not a huge employer, and we're not really in a position, we're not in a downtown metro, urban area. So some of the transit options are a little bit more complicated. And so really what it comes down to is looking for ways to incentivize people to maybe not change their commute permanently, but maybe a day a month, or a couple of days a month you work remotely, and that may not apply to folks at the library, or you could choose to carpool with someone else, or you could choose to bike to work on a day or something like that. And so it's less for us about making permanent changes than it is about maybe reducing a commute once or twice a month or something like that. Now, there are employees that can take and do take on occasion, use the park and ride. And it's especially convenient in its current location when it's nice weather to be able to get off and have a walk to work that's manageable.
We had an employee for over a year that used
Yeah.
the park and ride at the library, so.
Yeah, so it's not a, I think Councilmember Ball asked the question about enforcement, and although technically it's a code and there are potentially enforcement options, it's an incentive-based program. And so we have, for example, through the agreement, access to things like, $5 coffee shop gift cards. And so every month, Tate puts on a drawing for people who complete their commute calendar. And so if you complete your commute calendar, you're eligible for this drawing. And so, that helps to incentivize people to go in and mark up their commute. So stuff like that.
So it's basically voluntary, involuntary, or no, it's voluntary. And they get some, like you said, some incentives to choose to do those things.
So I will say that for the city as an organization, it's mandatory. For the employees of the city, it's voluntary. So we have to participate as an organization because by the statute, we're required to do that. But the individual employees are not required to do anything differently. We incentivize them to do some different things. And another example, is that I think it's every other year, they ask us to have a survey, completed by our employee population. And there's a target completion rate of, I want to say it's 70%. That qualifies you for the year-end banquet and award and recognition that they do. And so for years, we didn't qualify for that because we could never get more than like 50% of the people to fill out the survey. This last year, Tate spearheaded, and we got well over 80%. So that's been a big change, as she's become more involved. And in fact, today, she's at an all-day training, with the organization, because they're moving into their next year of operation, or next cycle of things. And so she's at the training today. And so she's taken really that by the horns and made it her own and helped everybody become more enthusiastic about it. But from an employee standpoint, it's completely opposite.
Got it. So Jandy, just a question for you then, after hearing that. Do you have an idea about how many, employees that actually, do something in that regard to their commute?
I know that they're filling out the forms. I don't know that I have a lot that are, we have probably 4 people at the library that could work remote occasionally. But since we're in-house, like, we can't really do as much remote work. I know there's something to do with like taking walks and that sort of thing. So some of my employees will like take walks and that sort of thing on lunch, and that kind of qualifies as well. But I don't know that we have a ton doing like carpooling or that sort of thing, since we're all coming from different corners of the city.
Well, and that's, Jenny makes a good point, because although it's primarily focused on peak hours, right? So AM and PM peaks.
Right.
It does have elements where walking to lunch versus driving to lunch is a qualifying activity, right? So, taking a walk from one building to another to attend a meeting qualifies as an activity. And so there are those kinds of options available where your commute to and from work may not work for you, but some of those may.
Got it. Yeah, thank you. I just curious, wanted to know that a little bit more, because I am a little, I'm a carbon footprint person. I have a very big concern about, the carbon footprint that we all make, and cities are a big part of that with their big operations, and even a little city like ours, we make our input. So I'm glad to hear that that's something that we have some employees engaging in. That's great. All right, so we are on to Jandy's report. Oh, Sean, I didn't ask you are you then?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so then Jandy, you're up with your library director's report and all your statistics.
So I'm starting with the websites, and then we'll get to your favorite part, the statistics. So I wanted to show you all our new city website. This is the library's page. If you remember before, it used to be green. We've changed a lot of the categories and that sort of thing. But we have this page that kind of rotates through different photos of the library. It's our library specifically, not just like stock photos. Up here, we have our borrow category, digital resources, services that the library offers, our events calendar, which is brand new, and I'll get to that. And then we have our about. One thing we're super excited about is the search catalog. It searches the catalog. It does not search the city website. Before, it used to search the city's website, and people are not looking for Harry Potter on the city's website. So now it does go to our calendar, or sorry, our catalog, like it should, and people are able to search for the books that they're looking for. So that's really exciting. So we're really excited about that. So here, now it's brought us over to the catalog and Harry Potter. So we're really excited about that feature. Okay.
I did notice, and I noticed it on your page when you brought it up. Down by the calendar, there's like something went wrong.
Sorry. It's like this, my little driving stuff is like right here. Stop my share. So it wasn't letting me go back because that button was right in the way.
So
Okay.
Jandy, I noticed that it has the cover of the book right there next to where the book that you're looking for. Did I see that correctly?
That's part of CIN's.
Yes.
That's,
Scroll down, Jandy.
that's part of who does that work and puts that in there so that it comes up like that?
In the service you subscribe to.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
our catalogers will do it sometimes, usually it's OCLC. They have the photos already in there for you.
So on, like, towards the bottom, right by the calendar, right there,
Yes,
I've got that same error on my page.
where it says something went wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. For whatever reason, if you click on it, it goes to the Facebook page, but for some reason, it's like not loading, so they're working on trying to. So yeah, it's showing that on your end, on our end too. So one thing we're really excited about is we were able to change all of these buttons. Before it had buttons to go to the kids page, the teen page, the adult page, and then it had ebooks in my account. And we found that people aren't looking for that. What they're looking for is they're looking for stuff on Libby. We have our databases because we're trying to promote those. They're looking to put we have interlibrary loan, and they're looking to reserve a room, and then consumer reports. People are always looking for consumer reports. So we just switched these buttons to stuff that people were looking for, now that we feel like we know what they're looking for better than with our last iteration of the web page. We also have this is like a carousel, so we can put multiple things in to highlight. So like before we had like the Spokane Symphony that we were highlighting. During summer reading, we have summer reading stuff there. This year, we're gonna put stuff about the brag tag. So this is just a rotating rotating carousel of stuff that we can put up. We have our what we're reading. So we change this every month with different books, that people, staff is reading to kind of give people ideas of different books to read. The last thing is the city's calendar. And they were able to integrate it with our new LibCal calendar. So it actually works and shows stuff that's library specific. So we're really excited about that. But I wanted to show you our new calendar of events that we got. So this is through LibCal. It's a library company, SpringShare. Our company that we were using is no longer supporting their calendar, so we had to find a new one. I'm really excited about this one though, because it does calendars and then it also does our meeting room reservations, so it's all integrated. But if you have seen our page before, let me show you. It was a calendar page, so this is what it looked like before. It was just kind of like a calendar that had the different events on it. I just feel like now it looks a lot more clean and professional.
The link at
So-
the very bottom of the page to calendar of events still goes to the old calendar.
Oh, okay,
Just
so we
click
probably
on it.
need to switch it in both spots. So we need to switch it in the other spot and put the new link in, so thank you. Like this, where it shows like a description of the event, we're able to put in photos and that sort of thing. But also, you can click on the different days over here on the calendar, and patrons are able to switch their view. So if they wanted to have a calendar view, like a traditional calendar, they can switch it. So that's really nice, but, excited about that. People are over here able to search by audience, so if they're just looking for, stuff for 6 to 12-year-olds, they can limit it to just show that stuff. So the last thing I wanted to show you is our meeting room software, which I am so excited about. All of my staff members are like, you won't shut up about the meeting room software, and I'm like, it is saving me so much time. It brings us into the 21st century.
Yay.
So before, people would submit a they had a paper form, or we had like a form online that you could fill out. It would then go to my email and I would manually put everything into the calendar. So it wasn't like a huge deal, but it was tedious, and sometimes people would send me like 6 requests at once. So, or it would get lost in my inbox because I would get inundated with emails. So now it's, a regular software. So they click on reserve a room, it brings them page. They can plug in the dates, they can plug in the time of the meeting room that they want to use. I like over here, it gives them photos of what our meeting room looks like. It gives them photos of what our study room looks like. They can go over here, can see like a week view and see, okay, when is the meeting room available? When is it not? They can go submit the times form, and then it automatically approves it. So I do have it set with the meeting rooms because we do have limits on like, you can't do a birthday party, you can't do a wedding, you can't do a baby shower. So with the meeting room reservations, it will go to our library staff computer. And then they will look and see, what's the purpose? Oh, it's for an HOA meeting. And they'll hit approve, and then it goes into the calendar.
I was just.
Already.
I was just gonna ask.
Yeah.
that. Oh, you
Yeah.
answered that question.
Yeah, and then, with the study room, they just put in their name and their email, and it immediately approves it and sends them a request. Or, sorry, an approval and everything, so. I'm really excited about it, because it just makes things more seamless, especially because people are like expecting a response now, you know? Their Target app, it gives them a response right now. And so people would be like, why did it take to get my meeting room approved? Or, you know, so now it's more instantaneous, or just takes an hour or something. So that's really nice. So I'm really excited about our, all of our new stuff. And it worked out really quickly that the website got published, and then 2 days later, our, new calendar software was ready to go. So we just look like brand new.
So Janny, who upkeeps that portion, the website, the library portion of the website? Who, does all the, updating and all that kind of stuff?
So with the library website, it's generally Michaela. David does it for the city, right over here in the corner. So he spearheaded the whole
Right.
new city page. So generally it's myself and Michaela. Erin does a little bit of it too. We don't update it super frequently.
Yeah.
So, cause I mean, there's a page on the library board that page doesn't change, so the stuff that gets changed continuously is, the what we're reading carousel, the regular carousel that has, the monthly newsletters and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would say, the new city website is a whole lot more user
Oh,
friendly.
it's amazing. Yeah.
It's very, so, nice job.
Good job, David.
Jenny was smart.
Oh, Michaela did all of it. She just came and told me and I said, oh, that's great.
Teamwork.
There you go.
Okay, so the second thing I had for you is on the, annual report. Let me see which screen I had that on. Survey report, okay, here it is. Okay, so here's our annual survey that we had to submit to the state library, back in April. I had some statistics with you, that I was excited about. I did give you guys all a copy of this. I think it's like 23 pages total. So I'm just gonna scroll down to some of the stuff I kind of wanted
Did you
to.
say to us?
Yes,
The whole thing?
yes.
When did you send
When
it?
did you send that?
Probably Wednesday.
No, I
Let's
didn't.
see, I had it, April 19th.
Right.
Okay, so it is in our.
Yeah,
City.
I see it right here.
Yes.
so like,
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
City.
If you need me to send it.
No, that's fine. I just missed it. I'll go back.
Okay. So it basically has everything under the sun that they could ask for. I thought were interesting is last year we had 625 volunteer hours. So these are our volunteers that come once a week and will do shelving for us. So these are for adults, our adult shelvers. We have, I think, 8 right now, and they'll come in for 1 to 2 hours a week. So total, we got 625 volunteer hours for us.
Bless the shelvers.
Yes, they shelve a lot of our books, and they also will pull holds for us, so they are incredible. And such a huge help to us.
So, Jan,
Yeah,
this, where it says, you go back up, did we, was our budget less this year than, or was it more?
First column is this year, second
This
column
is-
is the prior year.
Okay, got it.
yeah, So it's probably a little bit lower because I was out on maternity leave. So if you guys had some time, you weren't paying me.
And actually, it was a little more,
It was
Okay.
more.
Oh, it was a little bit more,
yeah,
okay,
23 was more than 22,
okay.
by about 22,000.
Oh, so maybe I was looking at the salaries and not the overall total. So, print materials, this year we're up a little bit more, 25,715. The thing I wanted to point out is our ebooks. So if you notice last year in 2022, in Washington Anytime Library, we had 72,000 ebooks. This year we're up to 101,000.
Wow.
So almost 30,000 more ebooks.
Does that include CINs?
Yes, so sorry, that's
Anything that
both.
goes through Libby?
Yes, anything that goes through Libby.
Right.
So, and it was Washington Any that purchased a lot more, not CIM.
Yeah, I know, I've noticed that.
Yeah.
They-
And
they
then,
search- They search across both of them now,
yeah,
too. They used to not do that.
yeah. And then we're up about 10,000 audiobook materials. So they went from 64,000 to 74,000 in 2023. Something interesting though, let me scroll down about the ebooks and audiobooks is, we have our total checkouts for the year. So for print physical checkouts, we were at 107,000 this year. Ebook checkouts are at 31,000. So people are still checking out physical books almost 3 times as much as they are ebooks.
Wow.
So I thought that was interesting. That we have a huge volume of them, but yeah, people still are checking out more physical books than ebooks. I'm sure families to that, whereas, you know, if you're a family, you come in and you get 20 picture books. you know?
Right.
I'm sure it is partially because we're a family library, I would say. So, yeah, so 107,902 physical material checkouts, 31,937 e-checkouts.
So both of those are up from last year.
Yes. 6,000 e-checkouts and
So
over,
do you have any suspicion as to, I mean, that's 10,000 more in circulation of physical material,
Mhm.
6,000 in ebooks. Do you have any kind of, thinking about why or there is such a large, I mean, I consider that 10,000 more, pretty big jump. So is that because you're coming out of the pandemic? Or is that because of, some other?
I just don't know if part of it's pandemic, part of it's population, you know, our population is growing. But I'm not, I don't have a for sure 100% answer on that.
Yeah,
we
like
looked at-
maybe them 100%, but just
Yeah,
give me kind of an idea.
None of
Yeah.
the, this report number of patrons.
so yeah, our visits were 50,000 in 2022. And this year in 2023, there's 62,628. So that is 12,000 more visitors.
There's your 10,000 right there.
So if they each checked out half a book, you know, look, 3/4 of a book,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah.
Cool.
Our children's materials always circulate more than our adult materials. So you're at 60,186 children's checkouts, 45,446 adult. So children's is considered picture books, chapter, and teen books. So I mean, there is more than adult is just adults. So the adults are definitely with 45,000, but still at more for kids.
It's interesting it decreased now. From 63 to 60.
Yeah, so, yeah. For total checkouts, so yeah, there were way more adult checkouts, if you look, 15,000. Kids went down a little bit.
So Jenny, in your opinion, but I'm just gonna ask it anyway, does the children's area, does it actually match the need and the use that our community gets out of that particular area library? Is it, I mean, if it was bigger, would it get used more? Would there be more kids that would, I'm just curious.
So I would say our footprints for for books. I'm happy with how many books we have. Total space for kids. You know, our story time room is 39 and we consistently every day have 60 people in there. So that's not big enough. So after story time, it's during story time and after story time, it's very crowded in the kids area. Our footprint is lacking,
It's like,
but the number of books that we have, happy with, I mean,
okay.
as a librarian, you can always have more books, but you know.
It's no such
Well,
thing.
yeah.
You never have too
Yeah.
many books.
Yeah, the area that I would say is too big as far as the books is the teens. That's the collection we're trying to weed down a little bit to make a little bit smaller footprint in the new space.
All right.
Just because teens tend to want the new best thing. They're not as much about like the book that was cool 10 years ago. They don't care about it. Whereas the juvenile area, they'll check them after their kids, you know, you need to read remote. You need to read Little House on the Prairie, like
Right.
it's perennial classics for the younger kids.
Got it.
So,
It's hard to get to like Little House on the Prairie.
really,
I
Yeah.
tried.
checked out a bunch of them just last week.
I tried and tried. Kids were like, what? I even read the first few chapters of some of those books in class thinking, this will get it.
Try to get it, but
No, but, and that makes sense. I mean,
Yeah,
kids,
oh, yeah.
kids and adults also all want to talk about what they're reading. And in order to talk about what you're reading, you have to be reading what everybody else is reading.
Right.
Either it's a class assignment and everybody's reading the same book, or you're greatest.
Okay, so I'm just scrolling through. These are all of our statistics for attendance at different programs. Storytime attendance for 2022 was over 4,000. Wow, total. Oh, 6,000.
you mean for 2023?
Yes, excuse me.
It's 2,000.
So in 2022, it was 4,944. In 2023, 6,833. Can you believe that? Almost 7,000 people came to
That's
Storytime.
huge.
Liberty Lake does story time very well.
So you have a library facility. Larger space.
Must be the storyteller.
Miss Erin does a fabulous job. I only do 1 day a week.
How many days a week do you do that?
So we do 4 days of story time a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Tuesdays is music and dance, moving group, and then Tuesdays is baby time, Wednesdays is toddler time, and Thursdays is preschool. So, but we do have families that have multiple kids and they'll come to whichever day they want, whether it's baby time or preschool or, you know.
Right, so how do families, know that schedule? Is it on the page for the library page?
Yes, so
So they can access that on there and check, yeah.
it's on the Facebook page as well. Storytime is very much word of mouth. Of parents talking to other parents, hey, did you hear there's a story time? Also, they do playtime afterwards. We have mom groups that will go to they'll go to story time, they'll do for lunch with the kids, or they'll go to the park with the kids. So it's a great way for kids to meet kids and parents to meet other parents or caregivers. So we have a lot of also
Very good.
people make friends. So I would say it's very much word of mouth. Let's see. Yes, our total attendance for ages 6 to 11 is 730. So it's just staggering how much more we have for story time versus the other. Story time is definitely our niche where we get the most people. Yeah, so for teens for last year was 170. It did almost double. That's really good progress. Let's see. So, and then for adults, we're at 179. For adults up from 140 last year. So I would say our thing that has taken the biggest hit since COVID is our adult programming. Before the pandemic, we were doing 2 or 3 crafts a month because we had so many people wanting to come, we couldn't keep up. Now we do 1 and it's not even full. So that's something that's definitely taken a COVID, but that's why we've been so thrilled with our bringing the adults back into the library. So yeah, I'm wondering if it's something we'll do yearly or maybe every other year or something, but that's definitely been bringing way more people in, so that's been great.
Well, I learned a bunch of stuff,
Yeah,
especially pollinators. Well, buy some good plants.
so then this is for our all ages, so this is things, Halloween party, touch a truck, our summer show that we do at Ridgeline High School. It's down from last year because in 2022 we did touch a truck. And last year with me being out on maternity leave, we did not do touch a truck. So we had 2,000 people at touch a truck. So almost directly correlate where that number is down from last year, but we are this year. So this year for our all ages programming, we do a monthly family craft. And then we have the Halloween party, the Christmas party, the summer reading show at Ridgeline, and usually our magic show that we do in the park. So that's what our all ages would consist of.
So you turn the lights on.
So this is our total attendance for everything, all the numbers added together. 2022, 600, we're up to 9,112, so up about 5 for the year for attendance. So I think we're doing really well, particularly since we don't have the touch a truck numbers in there, which tends to inflate our totals. Oh, I gotta plug in my computer.
I think
I thought I had done that.
as how our numbers continue to increase quarter over quarter, year over year, it just continues to justify building, that this community needs a larger facility for its library.
And something that we hit on in the grant application was how well our attendance is doing and that sort of thing, but also just how there isn't a lot of gathering space in Liberty Lake and how our community desperately needs that for study groups, HOAs, that sort of thing. Our HOA groups are fighting over different days in the library just because they gotta get their monthly meetings in and there's so many HOAs and there's not enough space, so. Yeah, that's something that we hit on was we need more gathering spaces for our community. Okay, so, our public internet, so this is, how many different people used the computers last year. So in 2022, we were at 1,268. This year, we're up to 1,805, which is surprising. We only have 4 internet computers at the library. And we're still getting that much usage out of them, so.
Those are the checkout ones.
So those are the ones just that are set up in the library for use. So just the desktops that we have on site. So, if you notice though, it has you plug in how many hours the computers are available and then how many hours are being used. We're only at 30% usage. So it's one of those things where I don't think we need more computers because they're only being used 30% of the time. But we're getting, still 1,805 uses out of the year. So.
One thing, I'm not sure, I heard this at the council meeting last night, is they're talking about having a couple council meetings in the park in the summer, and they said, that will need some hot spots, and somebody typed in, the library has hot spots.
They will not get their hands on those hot spots.
But you better reserve
Just-
it now.
Yes, that's what I'm meaning. They need to reserve them now. Just because they are,
Can't wait
Hopping. Yeah.
Monday before.
yes, yes. It's like, 80 people long. So. let's see. This is just stuff about like the insurance that we provide and that sort of thing. I'm trying to see if there's just anything else that I wanted to add or if that was everything.
So Jandy, you're required the state to file this report.
Yes.
correct? Could you kind of just, again, quickly remind us how the state uses this information that you send to them?
I know they use it in a lot of ways just for tracking stuff with the state library, but they will also submit it to the federal government. And it does go into different federal fundings and that sort of thing. So you can get funding from the museum and library. It's like ILMS or something, Institute of Libraries and Museums. It does a lot of stuff with like funding and showing how much service the libraries are providing to the people in the United States and getting funding for broadband and that sort of thing. So, yeah. That's at least some of the ways that I know that they use it.
Thank you.
So does it get compiled or can you look it up? You know, if you're the general public, can you find this report on the state site or anything?
I'm sure it's published,
Because I
it's
know we
public
have to report it
information.
we have to report it to the council,
Yeah,
as part of
Yeah.
our quarterly reporting, but, I mean, there's a lot of pieces of information there that, even I know the friend was asking me, can we share that information? And I haven't shared it.
Yeah.
At this point, because we haven't presented it, and we won't be presenting it until June.
mhm.
So, but,
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's, not public information, but I couldn't say where it's published.
Yeah.
On the,
Well, I
what
think
website.
it's gonna be, I mean, for somebody like the Friends to use, or anybody that we need to somehow distill it down,
Mhm.
because
It's a lot of pages,
it's a lot of
yes,
pages.
and some of the
it's a lot
stuff doesn't apply,
information that,
yeah.
People don't necessarily catch. So, I mean, but part of what we'll have to do anyway, like we do every quarter, that's a good set of numbers to be able to show the high points.
Well, if Jandy shows that, once we present the quarterly report to the council, if Jandy shares that at the next Friends meeting.
Yeah.
That'll be a consistent way to help get information to the group.
And if you go to the Washington Secretary of State, that's where the Washington Public Library information is kept, and they do have the 2022 full reports
Oh.
and so they kind of.
Good, yeah, that's what I was trying to
And
figure
it
out where it
includes
went
it too,
besides
the
those.
museum and library services. more
Thank you,
statistics are-
that's what it was.
So you can get like a CSV or an Excel or a full report, and they've got like top 10 lists, revenue and expenditures, and they kind of list it by each library, so they've got a full.
But it's available, that's the main thing.
Yeah, and all I did was I just Googled Washington State Library annual report, and it came.
So speaking of that, we'll have to present this to council in June.
Right,
I was hoping someone would be available to present with me on the 4th. Just because I don't know for sure if I will be here on the 18th meeting.
on June 4th,
Yes,
yeah, I'd like to help out if you need help.
Yeah, you've got multiple options, I'm here to.
okay.
So,
I was planning to follow the same format that I did last year. As far as the data that I've shared,
mhm.
I can send you guys a copy of the slideshow that I did last year. If you wanted, just so you can see the information that I'm presenting, in case you see something where you're like, no, you should include that number and you forgot it.
Got it,
But I
that'd be good.
start working on it. It looks like I did the budget expenses, the physical collection, the ebook collection, our checkout numbers comparison for 3 years, so they could see an update on our technology. So how many hotspots and that sort of checkouts, and then the program statistics, so story time, school age teens. I then did a page on the TAG, the Teen Advisory Group, and reported their volunteer hours for the year. So I definitely want to include that again. And then our big programs that we did for the year, like Halloween, and our summer reading show and that sort of thing.
Did you already say, I was trying to listen to everything, did you already say the total, numbers of people that have come into the library or compared to years?
Oh, no, that wasn't in here, so I should definitely include that,
Yeah, that
our-
would be a good one.
our total visits for the year.
Correct, yeah.
Total
Yeah.
visits. Probably total, yeah, because I know it's at the beginning of the report, probably total number of cards issued.
Yes, cards issued,
Well, because I know that was interesting to me, the way you break it out in terms of in the, what I call, trading area, but in, in the city of Liberty Lake and then the people that are,
oh, yes, I do have that in here.
yeah.
So I just must have not said it to you guys, but I'm looking at the slide, so
Yeah.
yeah, our total users that are residents versus non-residents, yes.
And that number is pretty much flat
Mhm.
this year.
Yeah, I think it is pretty similar to last year. I would just be curious if I can find how many new cards we gave out for the year.
Yeah.
Cause I'm sure that I had to give them that stat and I just didn't see it when I was
I didn't
sliding
see it.
through, but I just think that would be interesting, kind of like new users.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But our library requires you to renew and verify your address every 2 years, right?
Yes.
Not all libraries do that.
Yeah, so we do that so that we have a real
Yeah.
accurate count of who's using the library, not like
That-
everyone who's
that-
had a card since 2006.
That's good to point out too,
Yeah.
because that's why the number is going to stay within a reasonable range.
And not,
Because people are gonna fall off
Yeah.
and people are gonna,
Yeah.
they do.
so it's I feel, a way more accurate account of how many users.
Certainly.
Yeah. Okay,
Does anybody have any other questions, comments about the, annual report? Does anyone have, do you have anything else in your report, Candy?
no,
Before we get to the quarterly report and talking about, or do you want to just go into that right now? We're already there.
yeah, so I would say we're kind of already there.
Got it, okay.
I guess I just wanna know who wants to be my number 2 for it.
I'll take my break.
Kim's always been, Kim has been your number 2 here lately, so.
Last time we did it, I had just gotten these Invisalign retainer braces things,
Yeah.
because they told me I'm not too old to have braces. So my mouth gets really dry and I didn't know that when I was up there last time. So, yeah.
No, you guys have done a great job with those reports the last 2 times, that's
Okay.
great.
We'll cheer you on.
Yeah,
And we'll have been to the Design Institute, so we could add a slide
Oh,
about
that's a good
that
idea.
when we,
Yes, yes, that's a good idea.
which I have to leave for in 10 minutes-ish.
Yes, thank you for
I'm
going
taking a
today.
tour through the school library journal, no wait.
Yeah.
Is it school library journal?
I think it's library journal.
Library journal, of different libraries. And then tomorrow is a library design institute that we're gonna go to, so,
very cool.
Yes,
so we'll have things to share, but I'll take pictures and make a little slideshow to show you guys and.
Awesome.
Good.
I've been to all of them that they're showing on the tour, but the Hive is the one I haven't been to. So, but I've been to all the other libraries. So, I've heard the Hive is amazing. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it tomorrow.
So, all right, so then, we can move on to the
Aspen,
RFP and, no, we still have business, the RFP.
let's see.
Oh, no, I'm on the wrong one. Sorry, I'm on the different one, okay. So, what's the Aspen Discovery, we talked about that, you wanna share that?
Yes, so I'm pulling up the page so you guys can kind of get a sense of it. So we went to, we belong to CIN, which is the other libraries in Idaho. We all pay in to use Koha and our courier and, our ebook databases, all that sort of thing. One thing they were looking at for this year was Aspen Discovery, which is a different layout for your catalog that is much more user-friendly. It also gives you the ability to have an app on your phone for the library, which is great. It's 2024, everyone wants an app, just like your Walmart app, and your Target app, your Netflix app.
More apps.
Yeah, so that would be so like somebody could search the catalog and put a physical book on hold
Yes,
as opposed to Libby that only manages the ebook.
yes, so it would be for our It would be for our catalog. It will also give them the ability to have a digital library card. So, you know, you can just have all of your cards in your wallet and you can just scan your app. I mean, you can search the catalog on your phone. It's just not as user friendly as this app will be. So anyways, to buy into Aspen for a year on your own is $24,000.
Oh my God.
And then it's $12,000 a year, so it's very expensive, so it's not something I've ever looked at, because we don't have that. That's, it just didn't seem, cost effective. So we're going in on it with CIN, and so there's like 20 other libraries. So when you do the math on that, it's much more affordable. This is Spokane County Library District, they switched over to Aspen, in September. So they've had it for 6, 8, 9 months now. So I kind of wanted to give you guys a sense of kind of what it looks like. So it's a lot more browsable, kind of like Netflix, you know, so they have like this big carousel of titles. So they like to showcase a lot. Right now, they're kind of just showing books that have just come out. You can search by different categories, see stuff that's adult fiction, stuff that's kids fiction. The other thing I really like about it is it's a lot better for series. So let me go in here to series. Sorry, I'm trying to see one that I know is a series.
Very fun.
Thank you, yeah, I'll just. It's a lot more seamless in that it, shows you all of the books in order
Oh, nice.
and that sort of thing. And so it's just a lot more easy to search for as far as series goes. Cause it's one of those things where as librarians, like, we know a lot of the series, but we don't know every series. And then sometimes somebody comes up and they're like, oh, I want book 3 in this series. And you just kind of have to go on Google or Fantastic Fiction and be like, type in the book. And then it will bring up the series, and then you can go onto the catalog, and then you can search for it and find the book that they need. Whereas here, it's just automatically already like that, which I think is amazing. So I think it'll be a lot, our patrons will enjoy it, and us as staff will enjoy it as well. And if you notice, it just looks more, you know, like 2024 as far as the little icons and that sort of thing.
So this will
Just
replace
much
our
more
old
updated.
catalog?
Yes. So we will still have our Koha that we're using for our ILS, but this is the stuff that the patrons will interact with. So our patron catalog is getting a really nice facelift, so.
When will
The
that
new
happen?
card.
Are we up and using that right now? or-
No, so it'll be for January.
January.
So, CIN has to approve their budget kind of in June. So that everyone knows when they're going to their council, what they need to ask for and that sort of thing. So, the pricing is partially, you know, how many libraries are in the pot, and then partially kind of how big your budget is and how many patrons you have and that sort of thing. So we didn't think it would pass just because we thought it would be a bigger burden on some of the smaller libraries who don't have as much funding. Everyone loved it and everyone is going for it. So we're really excited. So they'll start doing the shifting over in October, but it won't take effect until January.
It's usually like a 6-month
Yeah.
process.
So we're just really excited to have that. So I just think it's just one of those other things that's really gonna bring us into the 21st century with our app and everything. So I'm really excited about it.
Do we have a general idea of what the difference in cost is?
$1,000. Yeah,
Wow.
I say
So-
that's a bargain.
yeah. I think it's $2,000 this year.
Yeah.
And $1,000 for the rest.
Implementations.
Yes, for the implementation. So,
Wow.
yes, versus $24,000. So I'm like, that's gonna be amazing. So that will be on our budget to present to council in October. And this is why it's increased and this is the reason for it. So I think it's great. So we're really excited about it.
Any other questions for Jandy on that? All right. So now we're on to action items. And we have to approve a couple, waive a couple of accounts, and Jandy, can you fill us in on that?
So we have 2 accounts that have reached the statute of limitations, meaning they owed us more than $100. They went to collections. collections can try and, collect from them for 6 years. And after that, they have to back off. And so they've reached their statute of limitations and we weren't able to get the money back. And now you guys have to approve to waive the account. So it's 2 different accounts.
Okay, so, anybody have any other questions about those accounts for Jandy? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to approve, to waive those 2, accounts.
I move to approve to waive the 2 patron accounts who've reached the statute of limitations.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Unanimously.
Yeah, so I will get that, to our accounting to do the process on that today. Thank you.
Okay. So, just to review a couple things, so you, June 4th, you'll put us on the, agenda
Yes,
for the,
quarterly report.
report,
Yes,
and Kim's gonna be your second, and Sean and I will help out any way we can if you need any extra help on that, putting that together, or any other eyeballs on what you're going to present. Anybody have any other comments before we adjourn? Except I need to ask for any citizen comments. Do we have anybody online, Jen?
But before that, are we gonna go over the library things waiver next meeting?
yes, yes.
That'll be on our agenda next time, correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
right. Okay. Going,
No, I don't have anyone online.
all right. No one else? Okay, we are good. Bob, will you, motion to
I move we
adjourn?
adjourn.
All right, second,
Second.
second. Approve?
Approve.
Approved, all right, we're good. We are done.